Everyone thinks World War I started with a bang. It began with a whisper, then a whimper, then a single shot. The 28th of June, 1914. A date etched into the annals of history, yet often remembered only for its devastating aftermath. On this seemingly ordinary summer day, in the bustling, sun-drenched streets of Sarajevo, a chain of events was set in motion that would plunge the entire world into an unimaginable abyss. The victim, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir presumptive to the Austro-Hungarian throne. His journey to Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia-Herzegovina, a territory annexed by Austria-Hungary just 6 years prior, was fraught with political tension and simmering resentment. He wasn't merely a figurehead. Ferdinand was a man of complex character. Often described as stubborn and short-tempered, he was also a reformer, advocating for greater autonomy for the empire's Slavic populations. A vision that, ironically, might have prevented the very war his death ignited. His marriage to Sophie Chodek, a woman of lower noble rank, was a love match, but one that caused scandal within the strict Habsburg court. Their children were excluded from the line of succession, a constant, quiet affront to the Archduke. The day itself was a celebration, but beneath the veneer of official pomp, a sinister plot was unfolding. A group of young Bosnian Serbs, calling themselves Young Bosnia, fueled by radical nationalism and supported by elements within Serbia's military intelligence, planned to assassinate the Archduke. Their motives were clear: to liberate Bosnia from Austro-Hungarian rule and unite all South Slavs into a greater Serbia. They saw Ferdinand's visit as a deliberate provocation, a flaunting of imperial power on a day sacred to Serbian nationalism, Vidovdan, the anniversary of the Battle of Kosovo. 7 conspirators, armed with bombs and pistols, strategically positioned themselves along the Archduke's motorcade route. Each, a cog in a desperate, deadly machine. Their leader, Danilo Ilic, a young teacher, coordinated the plan, believing he was striking a blow for freedom. The first attempt came from Nedeljko Chabranovic. As the motorcade passed, he threw a bomb. It bounced off the Archduke's folded-back convertible roof, exploding beneath the next car, injuring several bystanders and officers. Chabranovic swallowed a cyanide capsule and jumped into the Miljacka River. The cyanide was old and only made him vomit. The river was shallow. He was quickly apprehended, but the chaos allowed the motorcade to speed away, seemingly out of danger. The Archduke, shaken but resolute, decided to continue his official program, delivering a planned speech at the town hall. Yet his fury was palpable. He interrupted the mayor, declaring, "I come here as your guest, and you greet me with bombs." After the reception, Franz Ferdinand insisted on visiting the injured officers in the hospital. This selfless act, a deviation from the planned route back to the Konak residence, would prove fatal. The fateful decision was made to alter the itinerary. Meanwhile, Gavrilo Princip, another conspirator, disheartened by the initial failure, had gone to a nearby delicatessen for a sandwich. He emerged, perhaps for a breath of fresh air or simply for a better vantage point, onto Franz Joseph Street. It was an astonishing stroke of fate. Due to a communication error, the Archduke's driver, Leopold Lodjka, turned right onto Franz Joseph Street, directly into Princip's path, instead of continuing straight down Appel Quay. The car stalled, just feet from Princip. The Archduke and Sophie were practically handed to him. Princip, seizing the impossible opportunity, drew his pistol, a Browning FN model 1910, and fired 2 shots. The first bullet struck Sophie in the abdomen, severing an artery. The second hit Franz Ferdinand in the neck, piercing his jugular vein. Both were mortal wounds. The Archduke's last words were to Sophie, "Sophie, Sophie, don't die, live for our children." Within minutes, both were dead. The assassination, a desperate act by a few young men, had succeeded. Princip was immediately apprehended, but the damage was done. The spark had been lit. The immediate aftermath was one of shock and outrage across Europe. Austria-Hungary, blaming Serbia for the attack, issued a harsh ultimatum. Its demands were so severe that Serbia, though eager to avoid war, could not fully comply without sacrificing its sovereignty. This set off a catastrophic chain reaction. Europe, a complex web of military alliances, was dragged into conflict. Germany pledged support to Austria-Hungary, Russia mobilized to defend Serbia, France, allied with Russia, prepared for war. Within weeks, the continent was engulfed. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand was not the cause of World War I, but rather the catalyst, the final match igniting a powder keg of imperial rivalries, militarism, and entangled alliances that had been building for decades. The men behind the trigger, Gavrilo Princip and his co-conspirators, became symbols, heroes to some, terrorists to others. Princip died in prison in 1918, ravaged by tuberculosis, never witnessing the full, devastating consequences of his act. His act, intended to free his people, instead unleashed a global conflagration that would claim millions of lives, reshape empires, and sow the seeds for even greater conflicts to come. The ironies of history are often cruel. The Sarajevo spark serves as a stark reminder of how a single, desperate act, born of deeply held convictions and grievances, can, in a fragile geopolitical climate, unravel the delicate threads of peace and plunge the world into unforeseen darkness. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand wasn't just a moment in history, it was a pivot point, a singular event that forever altered the trajectory of the 20th century. Its echoes still resonate, a cautionary tale of unintended consequences and the enduring power of a single bullet. Uncover the hidden machinations behind another pivotal historical turning point in our next investigation.